What's going on, everybody? 1 Kings chapters 1 through 11. Let's get it. So 1st and 2nd book of Kings are technically one big book. We separate them to nowadays, but technically speaking, it is just one big book. From David and all the way to the last king of Israel that's recorded before they go to exile. Now, this is again another series of recaps. You're going to have 3 sets of recaps that happen in Scripture. You already went through 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, and the last one will be 1st and 2nd Chronicles. So you're going to see a lot of the same stories from different perspectives, informations, different pieces, but ultimately it's going to be the same thing kind of over and over and over again. In chapters 1 through 5, we see that David is now coming to the end of his life. He's been the longtime king of Israel, and the person that is the most happy about this is Adonijah, David's son. And he basically sees the opportunity to become a king, declares himself a king. But then Bathsheba, yes, that Bathsheba, the one that ended up, losing a kid because of David in the first place and lost her husband and all these things, has another son, and that other son is Solomon. And God said, I want Solomon. Notice in Bathsheba's story, she went through tough time. We don't, she lost her husband, ends up being, losing a son, and is now in the palace, is with the king. And she's like, yo, I need to look out for my kid. I need to look out for my son, because I know for a fact that my husband said that my son was supposed to be the king. And then God kind of sanctions that as well. Now, why would God pick Solomon, right? We obviously, David had other kids. He had other wives. Why would God pick Solomon of all people? Why Bathsheba's son? The really important thing to see is that, one, we have to see the prefigure of the Messiah. The Messiah needs to come. There needs to be somebody that emerges from the line of Judah that's going to serve as a Messiah, that is going to build the temple for God, is going to unify Israel, and demonstrate that they have wisdom that is beyond comprehension. We see that Solomon gets the opportunity to ask for whatever he wants, and this guy asks for wisdom to how to deal with God's people. And that is a very noble and admirable thing. Actually, for anything you want, you ask me for wisdom. And so God, because of that, he's like, yo, you would have asked me for anything, I would have given it to you. But the fact that you asked me for wisdom, I'm not only going to give you wisdom, but I'm going to give you that much more blessings. But you see a lot of if you do this, if you obey me, a lot of contingency on these ifs. So God gives him that wisdom. We see the wisdom come pretty quickly when he's presented with the case with the 2 moms and what's happening there, and how his wisdom at that time, to us is like, man, Solomon's crazy. That's outlandish. But in that time, that is genius. It's something that is so beyond their understanding. Like, this guy really just figured out this dilemma without having to lose any sleep. And then he begins the journey on building the temple for the Lord, and we see how he gets the materials and the plans and how every little piece starts to come together. But the really interesting part that I wanted to share with you, or it's a really fun fact, when they were constructing the temple, you would think that in construction sites, it was probably really loud, machinery, things of that nature in today's age. But during their time, when he's constructing this temple, it would have been the most peaceful and quiet construction site. All the materials that were being used to build the temple of God were being made beforehand. That means that they were being cut, prepped, set aside somewhere else. So when they actually arrived to the destination where they're going to be put together, it was already built. All they had to do was stack it up. It would have been relatively super duper quiet whenever they brought the materials for the temple of God. That kind of plays into something, because what God wanted from Solomon was that he was a peaceful man. And later on, we see it in Isaiah and in Chronicles that basically God wanted his place, his temple, to be a place of prayer, not of loud noises and loud things, where his spirit could dwell or distract the people from being at peace with God. In chapters 6 through 9, we see the posture of Solomon's heart, how he's praying. We see a man that has, at this point of his life, is living the heart of peace. We see that God is repeatedly reminding Solomon, please do remember this blessing, this favor, you've been appointed. It's all contingent if you remain faithful, Solomon. Like, do this, bro. Don't mess this up. In chapters 10 and 11, that if comes to pass. And it's another really, really cool thing to see. In chapter 10, the Queen of Sheba, a pagan, an unbeliever, someone that doesn't know of the God, sees how Solomon is being used by God and how he's doing everything with wisdom and how intricate and how good it is that he basically makes a believer out of her. And she says, bless the Lord who has been delighted in you. And this completely foreign pagan woman sees the blessing, sees the favor over Solomon's life, and is drawn to the Lord because of that. But then in the next chapter, the exact opposite thing occurs. We see that Solomon later on departs from the Lord. He goes from being wise to stupid. He goes from being obedient to rebellious. He goes from being faithful to now compromising with all the women and the foreign women that he wasn't supposed to be a part of. The very same king that was supposed to be unmatched, no one else is as wise as this man in all of the earth, somehow ends up in the same place as the people before him. And that is going to lead us into the rest of the fall of these kings. Consequences continue to follow after sin. That's all I got for you guys today. You have a good one.